it's always great to speak with you. You have been super busy. I know whenever we get a chance to talk about back to school, which is what we're going to be talking about, you have been busy. You've got other projects going on too, correct?
Yes, Rudy, it's been a very busy time and a very busy summer, that's for sure.
Now, you were mentioning me earlier because I think you're trying to hesitate on me. You got a podcast going on these days, don't you?
I do. You know what, Rudy? It's dropping in the fall and it's going to be on the Women in Entertainment Network. And I'm really excited to, host that show and really get to the bottom of some amazing stories.
I cannot wait for this. But in the meantime, I've got you right now because we are going to talk about back to school every year for families. This is like one of the most important. I mean, you can throw Christmas, you can throw New Year's, all this stuff, but when it talks about really the whole family, kids and adults, back to school is really a big day, isn't it?
It really is, Rudy. Honestly, it's like it is like a return to I always say it's like a return to coming home to something, right? It's a second home for a lot of kids and teachers. And the shopping and the getting ready and the anxious feelings of stomachs turning and all that other stuff, the butterflies, whose class am I going to be in? I know that's all going through our students' minds right now.
You know it three different ways. One, as a child going to school. Two, as a teacher bringing in these kids. And three, as a mom watching your kids go to school. How do you handle all that?
Correct. It's really a full circle lifelong learning, Rudy. You know what? I think that when parents, gear up to something new, I think that's really where the learning happens, right? It's learning how to let go. It's learning how to move on. It's learning how to move forward. Maybe not move on, but move forward, right?
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. This year, shout out to class of 26. My daughter is starting her grade 12 year, and she's already started because her school year kind of runs differently than everyone else. But even the girls on her soccer team, I'm just looking at them and seeing, they've grown up so much over not only over the summer, but like over the years, and you're watching them go off to something new. So it's like, senior year, they're getting ready and geared up for, post-secondary. It's an exciting time, but I still can remember like them starting their first day of school in kindergarten. And I know we talked about this a little bit last year, like the touch points of being a teacher and missing those milestone moments. So, doing the back to school pictures a day early, doing the back to school pictures, like for me, I was doing them like first thing in the morning. So it was the actual day and being authentic as possible. Creating, little things for them to kind of remember being at home. So like little notes in their lunch bags and all those fun things that we used to kind of go through. It's very nostalgic for me. And every time I see it, I feel like when I retire, it'll be one of those things where they say like teachers always like, they respond to the bell. So it's that kind of moment for all of us. Thank you. For
You actually helped set up my next question because I want to kind of go in stages. And you talked about kindergarten. What advice do you have for parents and for kids going into kindergarten? This is their very first time, and like you said, it's like now the parents are trusting the teachers with their most prized jewels, and that's their kids. What advice can you give the parents and the kids?
I think first off, it's such an important role to be a kindergarten teacher. I had done that and it was very magical. It's exactly what they say. You're the first person to welcome them into this beautiful school. And what your responsibility as a teacher, but you're responsible as a parent. And I think as a parent, just prepare your child, right? This is a new place where they're going to meet new friends. Some of my lifelong friends, and shout out to them as well. I've known them since I was like grade one and grade two, and I am just happy that elementary school provided that for me. It's not always the case for everybody. And I think that's that grade, like that first step into that school is such an important thing. I know a lot of schools prepare them the year before. So they come in June and they kind of, get a feel for what the school looks like. Parents are probably letting them know, this is how you write your name. Probably some of them are even reading by now, but whatever it might be, whatever stage their child is in learning, it's really about the social skills and the relationships that they're going to be building. So get to know the teacher, at pickup time, make sure that the like I like honestly, Rudy, that's probably my biggest anxiety is pickup time because whoever I was, whoever I received the child from is who I'm going to return the child to. So this is like the biggest thing of, that first day, trying to get those butterflies out, walking through the routines, talking about how to make new friends, all those different things. But I think a lot of parents prepare their children really well at this day and age. And it's just a new place for new magic to happen.
Now, you mentioned something about new place. As a child growing up, I probably moved 3 or 4 different times, so different schools, the new kid. How do kids handle that when they are the new kid? All the other kids know each other because they went from this grade to that grade, but now you come into a whole different school because you're in a different neighborhood. Everything's different. What advice do you have?
Change is sometimes necessary for that for growth to happen, and so it's an exciting time for everybody. A good transition time and a good transition point would be like to move during the first day of school, so that would be good because then there are new students around, making new friends and just making sure that you stick to the same routines. So if everything else is going to change in their life at school, try to keep consistent the things that are happening at home, right? So that way, you check in and it's not just, kids will always say, how was today? How was your day today? Oh, it was fine. Like give them definitive questions. So it's basically, tell me something that you learned today, or tell me a new friend that you've met today. So all those things that kind of, engage conversation with your child will help them to help themselves, because really it's about independent and self-help skills when you're at school, right? So if it's kindergarten, it's learning how to open up your lunch bag, opening up those containers. Like it's going to just make a mess everywhere, but like the least amount of mess the better. But as they get as they get older, it's going to be things like, today was a rough day, I haven't made any friends, again, like getting in contact with the teacher over the time, right? It's not going to be like first day you're going to be calling and talking about certain things. I do what's called a sunshine call. And I know I spoke about this last year, but a sunshine call is so important, Rudy, because that's really where you check in with the families and you say, you introduce yourself, and it's usually just like a 5-minute call. But I don't just do that at the beginning of the year. So we do check-ins throughout the year. So it's bigger than a report card because it's off the report card. So I kind of like to think about it as something being off the grid, right? So when something's off the grid, it's talking about, your child's having a really difficult time in making new friends, or your child's having a really difficult time in just, I think they're trying too hard to fit in, or something is happening, or is something happening at home, what can we do to kind of make this better? But it really is about that school culture, right? And every school is different, and that's why it's difficult to kind of gauge. And so those sunshine calls help with why your child might be feeling a certain way, and a lot of times they open up at school sooner than they do at home, or you're seeing vice versa. Well, they tell you at home and then it comes back to the teacher or it comes back to the school. What you don't want is where the teacher is the last person to know about it. So if something is happening, whether it be, and I'll throw out the word bullying because it is very loaded, but if something's happening at school that your child has told you about, it's important that, the teacher finds out, and so they can, at least talk to it or try to see if there's anything that they can do to support.
One of the things that I found, I wouldn't say scary because I had older brother and older sister, but when you go into high school, when you talk about a different world, that is a different world because I always found the kids who were in grade 12, they look like adults. And here I am coming in. I still feel like I'm looking like, I'm 5 years old. What is that transition like? And what advice can you give there for the kids? Because that's a tough one because when you were younger at the other schools, maybe you ran the school, you were the popular one. Now you're in high school, you've got different schools coming together. That's tough.
That's absolutely right. You know what? I think, the grade 9 transition point happens again in the summer, right? When they have days where they welcome, the grade 12s. So the senior class usually comes in and there's peer mentors and things that high schools have set up for that reason, right? And I had the pleasure of, this is like, I'm talking like years ago. of being a peer mentor, student council president, and things that I had done to kind of help put the school in place so that the grade nines were feeling welcomed. And some of my peer mentors at the time as well, like so people that are older than me, I still keep in touch with, but my mentees also then became my mentors. So shout out to like Trey Armstrong, who was my grade nine, one of my mentees back in the day. And, she's just who she is in the industry, but it's just amazing to see her grow and the growth of a grade nine student through those school years, right? So yes, grade nine can be terrifying because yeah, you were the king of the school and the queens of the school, and then you walk into grade nine and you are the youngest. You probably don't have as many friends. There's a whole bunch of people that were absolutely, the kings and queens of their schools when they coming in. So it's like it's really where you fit in, where you're going to gel. But hopefully that the grade 11 and grade 12, the senior students usually can walk a lot of the grade nines through that. So gone are the days of like, you hear people getting, well, hopefully they don't get stuffed in their lockers, all those other like negative things that can happen at school. But I'm talking about now like the mentorship pieces where you have student leaders that really take initiative to welcome and to really open up the why they are there at the school. Like you're going to be spending 4 years and it goes by so fast.
Let's talk about those seniors because this could be their last year. And after that, it's a whole different world. Some may want to go to college. Some may want to go to university. Some may want other types of careers. How tough, and again, advice to those young people who are or literally a year away from going into, if I can use a term, into the real world. That's got to be a lot of pressure, especially trying to figure out what you want to do, where you want to go. I can only imagine.
You know what? I think something that I found from co-writing all these children's books has been to really follow your dreams, like to really find out what it is that, this journey is about, what your narrative is going to be about. Write your own narrative, figure out what you want to do because not only are you spending and investing money, but you're investing in yourself. So you're really having to think, some people take a gap year. I know a lot of students that, they research and research and research the entire, like from grade 11 on, sometimes even grade 10 on, they'll go to open houses and try to get a feel for what university or what college or what program or what life event or something that will change, your trajectory. Because a lot of times, like right now, we know like, the like how we were when we were back in school back in the day might be a very completely like a completely different path for what the new generation of learners are coming to. So yeah, I would say know yourself, know where you're going, and if you don't, like you're going to find it, right? So hopefully there's a better and bigger path for you out there. But honestly, the future is yours. So that's amazing to see this, the youthfulness and the vibrancy of just knowing, being sure of themselves. Hopefully they really do find their way.
And hopefully, going back to the younger kids, the parents, as we lead into back to school, have got them back on a routine. That might be tough because kids might have been, I know when I was a kid, summertime, I was up late, I was doing this, I was doing that, but now you got to get them back in a routine. Is that a tough thing to do?
I think for anybody, routines are tough, right? Like they'll say 2 weeks before, start sleeping early, start, figuring out what the routine looks like. What are we going to be doing? Are there any changes in our routine, like walking to school, taking the bus? People kind of work that out with their kids. But it is a really, I look at, CNE for me. And when I saw you last year, same thing, right? Like CNE for me kind of marks the end of the summer. So the second I see, let's go to the X, I'm like, oh goodness, like summer is over. I love going to CNE, but it kind of shows us that. But that's also part of my own routine, right? Getting ready, making sure like the night before all clothes are put away, like all those different things that will help anybody in the morning that, can make that transition better for them.
When I was a kid, one of those transitions was, of course, you had to get your pencil case, you got your pencils, you got your colored pencils, you had your pen, booklets. Slowly, backpacks started to be part of my life. What are some of the things that today's parents should be preparing for their kids? in getting them ready? Because heck, I still remember when you were buying calculators. I guess you don't have to do that anymore. What are some of the things that they should get prepared for? And also, I don't know if this is a fair question to ask, but are phones, cell phones, is that a big thing, or even laptops used for kids? And should they be parents preparing for kids to have these things?
Well, a lot of times, a lot of schools have different, parameters for their schools and cell phone use, digital, use and literacy and all that other stuff. So really, what you need to know is what the school wants you to do, right? And then kind of try to figure out how that works for your family. So, for example, my kids had a phone at a certain age for emergency reasons because they had to walk home. Other parents might have it so that they have, every child has a laptop because the school is now paperless. So they've gone to like, paperless. They don't even have textbooks in most schools. So a lot of times, yeah, it's especially in high
Oh,
school. So the train of thought of how we were when we were there, it's very different. But as well, like a lot of kids, they learned that way. So that has to be again adapt. Like teachers have had to adapt to this different digital world, right? So and I think we should take advantage of it because there's more than just the AI that's out there. Yes, we need to be very cautious, but we can also embrace the things that it can do to help us help everybody.
what's the biggest advice that you can give to families, no matter what age, on kids, young adults, and I will call them that because that's where they're heading into, back to school advice? What's the one thing that you want to make sure that they all understand going back to school?
I think number one, parents are always going to be your first teacher, whether you're good at it or not. The good, the bad, and indifferent, just like in teaching. But with parents championing you, know that there are teachers there that also champion the students and just to make sure that it's a safe and caring environment for children to thrive and grow. I think if we're all like that as adults, we will have an amazing future, right? Because the kids then buy into that and figure that out on their own. I have this saying in our classroom family, and it comes up, it's a classroom family pledge that we say, and it's to start and end each day with a smile. And I really try to enforce that with my students to figure out, if you're not walking in with a smile, let's figure out why. And I'm not trying to be, that teacher. I just want to make sure that you're having a good day because you never want to see a child, that's sad coming into school and then sad or even more upset leaving the school. You want it to really be a safe place for them to grow.
Amen to that. Here's my advice. Make sure you wear a great new t-shirt and make sure you got some great sneakers too. To me, that will set you apart from everybody else. That's
Oh,
what I always did. So thank you
this
so.
will really will stand out, right? That's just how it is this day and age.
That's
Funny.
that's the way it is. Thank you so much for this advice. Always a pleasure speaking with you. Cannot wait to check out the podcast, and looking forward to talking to you next year when we
Thank
talk about
you.
once again to back to school.
Yeah, it's called the Class Act. So we'll be talking to some really neat people.
Cannot wait. Thanks again.
Thanks again. We'll see you soon.